This card can never be in a Bracket 1 Commander deck.
At least that appears to be the case if you read the comments on the crab-themed Bracket 1 deck I'm planning on making. Now, after we debuted Crab Dollars as part of a sketch including Crab Guy and Gunther a few weeks ago, I got the bright idea that I needed to build the Crab deck, and it needed to include Crab Dollars somehow.
And so when I saw the opportunity to trade for this nearly $500 Smothering Tithe at a local shop the other night in Philadelphia, I jumped at it because I specifically wanted it for a deck that I'm planning to call Crab Stacks, Crab Dollars. I need this card in that deck. So let's talk about this. Obviously, when the bracket system was unveiled a few months back, we had Bracket 1s through Bracket 5s. We all knew the Bracket 5s were CDH. Bracket 4s had lots of game changers, Bracket 3s, a minimum of 3 game changers, and 1s and 2s were supposed to represent heavily themed decks that were kind of bad, and 2s, decks that had maybe less than 3 game changers and were like pre-con levels or maybe a little worse than most pre-cons. I think pre-cons are pretty good. And the discussion surrounding game changers becomes a huge part of this, right? There's a ton of powerful cards, everything from your Rhystic Studies to your Natural Orders to your Demonic Tutors, right? These are the big cards, Cyclonic Rift and Force of Will, right? These are the ones that everybody pays attention to and thinks about. And my boy, Mr. Krabs, this Smothering Tithe is a game changer. You are supposed to have 0 game changers in any Bracket 1 deck. However, in the many conversations that I've had with members of the committee that put this together, with Gavin Verhey himself, the one thing that has been stressed the most is that intention matters the most, right? It matters more than actual card inclusion. So if I have a Smothering Tithe in a Bracket 1 deck, but the cards that my treasures are ramping me into are kind of bad, right? Or heavily themed or not intended to be highly competitive, I'm not sure having a Smothering Tithe in the deck really matters. And that is certainly what I would say to anybody sitting down at a table playing a 1 with me if they had that card in the deck. I'd be like, well, okay, you have a Smothering Tithe, but what does Smothering Tithe do in your deck? But then also we get into the complicated part of the story, which is that the Crab Guy character, the character that inspired the actual building of this deck, his theme in the sketches is that he's like an idiot savant who seems to have a bad deck that always has an answer, which is exactly what this comment above, the top comment on the video, is suggesting. They want the deck to have answers to everything all the time while also being bad. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can actually do this. I want the deck to be canon, like it can actually play cards that he's played. For instance, I want to be able to sacrifice a Ruin Crab to a Flare of Denial, right? That's a thing that he's done in the sketches. I want Crab Guy in his deck to be able to win the game, but I also want the deck to actively be playing mostly bad crabs, right? I literally want things that rhyme with crab, like Laboratory Maniac, but Crabratory Maniac. I want to play Stab Wound and have it just say Crab Wound and have like a picture of a crab on the girl's neck in the picture. So what do we think, guys? What is your opinion on game changers in Bracket 1 if they're heavily themed? Would you allow it at your table? Would you build it yourself? Let me know below.